Final update. Roommate cut my hair without my consent, ended up cutting herself, and is threatening to call the police on me. Original story. This just happened maybe 5 minutes ago, and I'm scrambling trying to figure out what to do before the police are called. I'm living off campus with a roommate that I was paired with through our college. We had a disagreement about her paying her portion of bills and rent on time, and her boyfriend basically living here without our landlord's permission, which violates our lease. Well, everything seemed to be fine later on, so we're hanging out in my room and she asks me to braid her hair. Afterwards, she offers to braid mine. She goes to grab hair ties or something. I'm not paying attention as I'm on my phone. Well, apparently, she actually grabbed scissors. I decided to cut my hair as revenge for pissing her off. I'm expecting her to braid my hair, when suddenly right next to my ear she cuts a huge chunk of my hair off. I freak out and instinctively turn around while batting her hand away. Her hand flies into her face and the scissors cut her cheek quite deep. They were expensive shears, I guess, so they were very sharp. Now she's saying I harmed her and threatened to call the police. I told her I would give her the money she wanted and we didn't have to call the police, but I had to pawn some things so I needed a minute to gather some stuff to sell to get the money. I just did this to buy some time. I'm not giving her anything. Do I wait for her to call the police and explain when they get here? I considered calling the police first, but I don't want to incriminate myself. I really didn't mean for her to get hurt. All I did was turn around and push her hand away before I could even process that she had shears in her hand. Either way, I don't want to live with a psycho anymore. Is there anything I can do? I have a copy of our lease that I'm going to look over. We're on one lease, but she's just a co-signer as she was 17 when we signed the lease, but has since turned 18. Our lease is up in August. Also, this might sound stupid, but she ran off with my chunk of hair. Could the police make her give it back to me? It's very long, and I'd at least like to donate it, as I'll have to cut the rest of my hair to match since the psycho had 1/3 of my hair in her hand. Thank you. Now for the top advice before reading the first update. She violated you first. Call the police and explain your situation. It likely is very noticeable your hair is cut. You can also go to file for an emergency order of protection against her, outside of vacating the premises on your own. I would suggest rephrasing that, because first implies that Opie also reciprocated the act on the roommate, which is not the case. The roommate harmed Opie, and Opie acted in self-defense. Opie did not harm the roommate at all. Saying she did it to you first implies that Opie did it to the roommate second. Okay, thank you for the info. Do you know if this would be considered a crime if she didn't inflict bodily harm, or would this fall under battery? I'm going to call the police before she gets a chance, but I want to know what to expect in case the officer tries to say this is a civil matter. I don't expect her to be thrown in jail, but I want some leverage on her so I don't have to live with her anymore. Your school will almost definitely have resources for you, especially if they paired you two together. Look at your Westlife website to see if they have any off-campus student resources. Regardless, please call the police. Okay, thank you. The problem is that I go to a crappy state college that doesn't have dorms, but they have a program thing where they match students together who are looking for roommates off campus, so I don't think they can get directly involved. I can't find anything helpful in my school's website, but I'm just going to talk to an advisor before the campus closes and hope that they can deal with her and maybe suspend her or something. I don't know. I'm looking into a protective order, but that would be hard to enforce if we're still going to class on the same campus, right? So she harmed you, lied about it, and threatened you, and you're wondering if you should file a police report? Well, the first two officers didn't believe me and pretty much said I was lucky I wasn't being arrested because my roommate is the one with a huge cut on her face. It's pretty discouraging. The evidence is on her side, except for a short audio clip of her yelling and freaking out. And now for the first update/edit. Jack squat happened. I called a non-emergency line right after I posted this, and they sent out 2 officers. I made a mistake of telling my roommate that I had called the police and that she had committed a crime. She must have realized that it looked pretty bad and rethought her strategy. She disappeared into the bathroom for a while until the police got here, and when she came out, her hair was cut, but like a real haircut instead of hack job she gave me. The officers separated us and got our sides of the story. She told them that we had agreed to cut each other's hair, and that she pulled a little prank and decided to cut my hair a bit shorter than originally planned. I got freaked out, and that's how she got cut. She convinced them that she had apologized, but I was looking for a way to get her out of the house and was lying. She showed them our text where she just asks if I want to do her hair without specifying what we were doing, and all the earlier texts where we're fighting about money and I threatened to get the landlord involved. She even showed them the hair in the trash can. I guess my story sounded less believable with all the evidence against me, and in the end they didn't seem to give a crap. They said this was a civil matter, and as long as she didn't feel like a crime was committed, that they were done. I didn't want to press my luck and get arrested, so I kept my mouth shut. So I was treated like a criminal, and now this insane girl is outside my room threatening to destroy all my things. I recorded some of her rampage through the door, and I'm collecting any messages that sound even remotely threatening that her and her boyfriend have sent me. I'm taking pictures of all of my stuff in case she destroys my property. The office of the apartment just closed, so I can't go to my landlord till tomorrow, and I don't have any way to contact him directly. What the hell do I do now? Can I go to the police station and file a report even though the police just came here and decided to believe her? Now for the second update. I just wanted to thank everyone for all your help and advice. If I hadn't posted here, I probably would have waited for my roommate, referred to as Jane from here to avoid confusion, to call the cops, which almost definitely would have screwed me as Jane turned out to be scary good at lying and manipulating. So yesterday, I got off Reddit and got to collecting evidence and making a script, so I knew exactly what to say when I went to talk to the police again. My neighbor that we share a wall with came over after hearing Jane flipping out, and I explained everything. Neighbor offered to watch my cat and said she'll call me if it seemed like Jane was going to do anything crazy while I went to the station. I packed all of my most valuable things in my car, took pictures of everything else, and then recorded a quick video of me telling Jane that I was going out and she did not have permission to go into my room or touch my things, just in case she wrecked something and said I did it or something. I don't know. I told the police about everything and brought my copy of the police report. Showed them harassing messages Jane had sent in the past, messages proving we often braid each other's hair. Probably unnecessary, but I was trying to prove that I agreed to let her braid my hair, and I'd never let her cut it. And proof that I'm a cosmetology student, freelance makeup artist, and occasional hair model. So I would never let someone who isn't trained cut my hair. It is an important part of my job/hobby. The officers I spoke to this time surprisingly took me seriously, but before I could even finish talking to them, my neighbor sends me a video of Jane tossing my open train case onto the corner and stomping on some of my very expensive makeup as it falls out. I'm an idiot and forget that one thing that is important to my livelihood right now in the bathroom, but I was in a hurry and grabbed my personal makeup kit without thinking. Details aside, Crazy Witch tossed out thousands of dollars worth of my property. 2 new officers escorted me back to my apartment, and when we got there, Jane immediately turned on the waterworks. Surprisingly, she was cooperative and left with 1 officer to talk at the station, I guess, while the other helped me scare away the vultures trying to steal my makeup off the street and bring it inside. I noticed my prescribed Wellbutrin and Xanax bottles were missing from the bathroom. I know, stupid place to keep them, but who the heck steals Wellbutrin? And the officer said they would question her. So I didn't hear anything after that. But this morning I looked at the public records for my county and saw Jane's mugshot with charges for a crime with a deadly weapon and malicious mischief. I guess she had been booked late last night. But I checked Facebook a bit ago, and Jane had posted a truly classy selfie, middle finger and all. So does that mean she's posted bail? Anyways, I brought all this info and the police reports to my landlord this morning, and he pretty much told me tough luck. He said that I still need to have the full rent payment, and that if Jane wouldn't willingly move out, he couldn't evict her without evicting me too, since we're on one lease. Do I just need to pay for everything and then sue her in small claims court? What do I do about all my damaged cosmetics? The police are aware of Jane damaging my stuff, but they haven't heard anything back. I'm totally lost as to what happens now. Will this go to court, and will I need to attend? Are the police going to get back to me as to what I need to do next? They took my statement, but that's it. The good news is that she isn't allowed on campus at the college we both go to until this is settled, and if she returns, I'll transfer to another campus nearby. Also, she hasn't attempted to come back to the apartment, and if she does, I have a friend here with me. My landlord said I have to let Jane in if she returns though, even if I get a protective order. That sounds like BS, and I have an appointment on Monday to talk to a lawyer who will hopefully help me figure out what to do next. I'd like for it to be sooner, but it's free legal consultation through my college. So I guess they're busy? Anyway, sorry to ramble. I'm just not sure what to expect until I can speak with a lawyer. Now for more advice before the final update. Based on the arrest, file for a restraining order. Jane is still responsible for her half of the rent, but she won't be allowed to go there. Also take the evidence you have, including the mugshot and restraining order if you get one, to the school's roommate-appearing people. Ask them to find someone else to share the place with you. Let them deal with reassigning Jane to a new roommate. You'll be on the hook for full rent, along with Jane, but good luck collecting, until you can find another roommate and arrange for your landlord to modify the lease. It could go to court, or she may take a plea bargain. If it does go to court, you will probably be called as a witness. This could be months from now. Take some pictures of your unwanted haircut just in case it goes to court. Save the video of Jane trashing your makeup. Save everything, basically. Thanks for the reply. When I went to discuss everything at my school, they immediately got me in contact with another student who needs a roommate and can move in ASAP. Plus, I have classes with her and she seems normal. But my landlord's saying there's nothing I can do. He said he can't kick Jane out unless he evicts both of us, and that the only way someone else can move in is if Jane sublets her room out. Either way, I don't know what to do with her stuff. My landlord just kept talking about bailment or something, and how he has to hold on to her property for a while even if she abandons it. You could also file a small claims lawsuit for the property that she trashed, the cost of a cosmetologist to fix your hair, and her share of the rent if she doesn't pay. My landlord said I have to let Jane in if she returns though, even if I get a protective order. I believe that your landlord is in error. A court order from a judge to stay away will override any rights she has under the lease. If you get a protective order when she returns, call 911. Jane, who you arrested for harming me with a deadly weapon and against whom I have a protective order, is trying to enter my residence right now. Should elicit a relatively rapid response. I strongly recommend that you get a protective order ASAP. Thank you so much for the advice. I called yesterday and tried to get an emergency protective order, but I was told that I had to apply for one within 12 hours of the arrest, and this was maybe 15 or 16 hours after. So I'm getting a restraining order against her and just hoping I can avoid her until then. Now for the final update. Well, this isn't a very interesting update, but I figured you guys would like to know that justice was sort of served. I just wanted to thank everyone for all the responses on my first 2 posts. It helped me a lot. Especially to the people who advised me to be proactive and persistent in contacting the police, and to the person who mentioned renter's insurance, which I didn't even realize I had. Thanks, Dad. So everything happened much quicker than I anticipated, and it's all pretty much settled. Also, I'm not sure how much detail I should give since this all just happened, but Jane took a plea bargain, not sure if this is the correct terminology, and plead guilty to misdemeanor crime and destruction of property. I'm a bit upset that she pretty much got a slap on her wrist with the sentence and fine she received, but I suppose it's worth it because she cooperated in breaking our lease. I filed for a restraining order against her and filed a claim with my insurance company for my damaged and stolen makeup, which was thankfully covered by my renter's insurance. Jane's parents moved all of her stuff out of the apartment yesterday and gave me a little money to cover her portion of the rent that she owes me. It wasn't nearly enough, but they seem like surprisingly nice people, and I feel bad that they have to deal with such a nutcase of a daughter. I found a new roommate, and we're signing a new lease this week. So, aside from being flat freaking broke now and getting an unwanted haircut, everything turned out alright. Last story is titled, My 20 female boyfriend's 28 male friend 28 male was inside my apartment when I came home last night. Boyfriend says I need to chill out about it. I'm 20 female. When I came home last night, I noticed my kitchen light was on. I leave when it's bright outside, so I never have it on in the morning when I leave. Then I heard a toilet flush and I immediately freaked out. The only person other than me that has a key to my apartment is my boyfriend, 28 male, but he's away for training. He's in the military. But it ended up being my boyfriend's friend and he was immediately like, calm down, calm down. Your boyfriend said I could come here to change. And I was like, what? And this guy said he had a job interview near my apartment, but he didn't want to go all the way uptown to his apartment to change because he works close here. So my boyfriend said it was okay if he came to my place and showered and changed. He said he got my apartment key from my boyfriend's place. I immediately called my boyfriend and I was like, why wouldn't you call and tell me about this? And my boyfriend was like, I didn't tell him he could do it specifically to him, but I mentioned in passing before I left that you lived around there. And he said he might have an issue, so I said that might be a solution. But I didn't explicitly tell him he could go over today. And I was like, why are you offering my apartment to anyone? And he was like, well, I didn't know he was going to do it. So I don't know why you're getting mad at me. You need to chill. And I think I'm completely justified in being mad. But now I'm second guessing myself. Edit. I took the key from the friend, so I have the key back. My boyfriend's apartment is near the friend's uptown. I think the friend took the key when he was hanging out with my boyfriend's roommates. He gave someone your key in passing, but not directly? I smell BS. Yep, she said he got it from the boyfriend's apartment. But even with that knowledge, how would he know it was that key? And her apartment address and number to enter? That's not just in passing info. Exactly. Unless he already knew where Opie lived. Doubt it. He had to have asked the boyfriend. That means the boyfriend told him where the key was and gave him her address and apartment number. Please get your locks changed as soon as possible. This is not okay. I think I'm going to. Absolutely do this, and check your place for cameras. You don't know if your boyfriend or this guy made copies, and is a reason for being very suspicious AF. Change your locks. Don't be naive. If he's letting randoms go into your home, you cannot trust him to have not made a duplicate key. Change your locks and dump him. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't value you. He doesn't even give a damn about you feeling safe in your home. You need to protect yourself from this man. Update. My best friend's fiancé groped me at a party and now I think our friendship is over. Original post. Probably not the first time someone asked this, but my female 30 best friend's female 30 fiancé male 26 touched me. I slapped him hard twice before he stopped. He was like, okay, fine, and left the kitchen. The friend female 31 to tell the party witnessed it. We don't know how to go from there. Knowing her, she is probably not gonna leave him, and maybe cut us off instead. She has an 11-month-old daughter with this douche. I had a very low cut and backless dress. I needed to mention this because I feel immense guilt. I know my dress was commented on a lot that night. I can't help but wonder if I brought this on myself. What I need is simple. Should I or should I not tell her? If I tell her, this may end our 25-year-long friendship, because she is head over heels in love with him. But how can I let it go? Edit. Thank you very much for the support. My best friend knows I never liked her fiancé, so I was afraid she would think I just want to end the relationship. I didn't see my friend, the host, coming in the kitchen. He thought we were alone. I think he stopped because of that rather than me hitting him, because he kept saying, "Ow, that's adorable," when I slapped him. So my friend, the host, called me and told me that my best friend has messaged her on IG, asking if something has happened between me and her fiancé at a party. She told her what happened, and my best friend hasn't answered her yet. Should I talk to her or let her contact me herself? The host reckons I should wait and see what her reaction to her fiancé touching her best friend is. I can't report him. He was drunk, and I was drinking and have no way of proving that I wasn't drunk. You know how these things are important in such cases. Scanty dress and alcohol, etc. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. What kind of friend is she if she ditches you after you tell her you were harassed/violated? Not any friend I'd want to have around. If this friend came to you and told you that your boyfriend touched her, would you ditch her? Would you stick with that guy? Probably not. Your dress does not have anything to do with what happened. A disgusting man is the reason this happened. The only reason. This is illegal behavior if you're in the US. You have a witness. You could charge him if you wanted to. I'd tell your friend, because what if he gets handsy again? He doesn't have any consequences. If the friend does cut you off, then that's a blessing in disguise. You don't need to be around people like that. A mutual friend tried to violate me. I told my friends and they stuck with him. 3 years later, I'm doing amazing. It sucked at first to lose a decade-long friendship, but now I'm surrounded by people that would be supportive no matter what. Please do not feel this guilt. A gross, disgusting man did something horrible. This is not your fault. We thought about charging him, but I don't know how serious they would take it. You did not bring anything on yourself. He shouldn't have even touched you, much less after you said to stop. Tell her this happened, and if she doesn't believe you or cuts you out, it's probably better she's not in your life as well as him. Probably should have mentioned this in the post. She doesn't have a job, so it won't be easy to break up with a baby and no job. If she doesn't break up, she will live with him with this knowledge. I know it's awful, but that sucks for her. He literally violated you. Offer her support if she chooses to break up with him, but don't sacrifice your safety for her comfort. I would gladly let her stay with me until she gets her life together. I don't think she would like to trade down her fancy apartment in the city, though. And now for the first update. I'll just dive right into the update. Many things have happened, but I'm unfortunately not any wiser for it. I usually have Wednesdays off and I like to have a lie-in till lunchtime. Today, however, I woke up to the door and phone ringing at 8:30. It was my best friend, so I buzzed her in. She turned up with him and the baby girl. They were both all smiles. I let them in and went to the bathroom. I took a shower. I have been getting angry red rash on my body since it happened, and a cold shower usually calm it down. When I got out, I found them in the kitchen making coffee. They had brought croissants with them. I just stood there waiting for them to talk, but my best friend just handed me the baby and started a small chat about the weather and how the baby girl hasn't been sleeping well, etc. I didn't comment on anything, so she just looked at me and started crying. She told me that the douche and I were the people she trusted the most, and that it's tearing her apart seeing that we don't get along. She always felt like she had to choose between the two of us, and that she refused to do it anymore and needed us to at least be civil to each other. He was patting her on the back. I said, "That ship has sailed, don't you think?" So she turned angrily to him and asked him to do what he had came here for. So he started apologizing and saying that he was very drunk and didn't remember a lot, but that is very remorseful. I wasn't looking at him, and when he finished, I asked her if she knew what he did. He interrupted her and said, "Yes, we have already discussed this." I told her that I will speak to her later, and they left. But before they went, she hugged me and said she's sorry. I went back to bed. When I woke up, I was still so angry. How could she just bring him unannounced to my place and demand that I forgave him on the spot? So I texted her that I did not appreciate her bringing him into my home when he, not 3 days ago, violated me. She said I was exaggerating. I asked her if she would think it was okay that someone pinched her like that, and laughed when she couldn't fend him off. I could show him his nail marking. She told me he didn't remember any of it. I texted her that I'm planning to report him to the police. She called me immediately and was shaking with anger. How could I do something like this to her and her baby? Why am I being so selfish? I asked how she isn't terrified of him when she knows what he's capable of. That the reason he hurt me was because I didn't like him, and it bothered him. She started crying, then she ended with, "How will you prove that it wasn't you who came on to him? There's always two sides of a story, and the police will want to hear both." I hang up. She called a few times more, but I didn't answer. She texted now that she loved me, but that I must think of her before doing anything stupid that can ruin her life and our relationship. So that's that. I am probably going to lose her, and no matter how easy many of you think it is to do the right thing, I feel like I am the biggest POS right now. Never answer her calls again. She's a piece of trash. But first text her, "It really hurts and scares me that you would lie to the police to protect someone that did that to me. You know, Name violated me. He admitted it. And you're still willing to lie to the police to protect him? Why would you do that?" If her response doesn't directly refute that the dude did that to you, then you have the evidence you need to, hopefully, ensure her lie won't be taken seriously. If she tries to lie, the officers will even let her know that doing so could result in legal action against her as well. This will also be useful if they start spreading false information to mutual friends. If the friendship is doomed, you might as well do whatever is needed to protect yourself. You report him, you use the host as your witness, and go from there. Screw your friend if she isn't pissed as hell about what he did. I just knew it in my heart that she would be this way. Why do you say you knew this? I'm genuinely curious whether this feeling of yours comes from some past behaviors, or is it about her relationship with this douche, and the fact they have a daughter together. I know how she thinks, and she always ditched her friends for tall, handsome men. He is a bully and doesn't treat her well, and I have told her that multiple times, and she always defended him. I thought this time won't be any different, even if it's much more serious. I'm so sorry this happened to you. What a disgusting violation, and what a trash friend to protect her pred of a boyfriend. None of it is your fault. You are not being selfish. You did not ruin anyone's life or relationship. Take pictures of the nail marks and compile any text messages, / proof you might have. The fact that your friend is throwing doubt on you makes me believe they'll do whatever they need to maintain that he's not guilty of what he did. Cover your behind, keep your head up, you'll get through this. I did that. It was the friend's idea. I would have never think of it otherwise. I even have bruising on my wrist. It got darker the next day. I took a picture of it as well. My friend glanced a couple of times at it. Turned out she probably knew what he did that same night, because my friend's husband kicked the douche out not long after I left. She had to leave the party early. She must have asked him why they were being kicked out. Didn't try to talk to me until she showed up today. I am so angry and disappointed. Now for more update. Hi again. We have just had a group call with me, the witness, and her to try and find out what's really going on in her relationship. We started with telling her that she could trust us, and we would do anything to protect her. I know that. We asked her if he ever hurt her or her baby. No, never. If he had forced himself on her? No. She told us they rarely had intimacy, and that she almost always was the initiator. But this is going to be disgusting, I'm sorry. When they got back from the party, they did it twice, and he was rough. She'll like it that way. And they have been doing it every day this week. But she's a bit off because she's afraid he's fantasizing about me and not her. I just sat there in shock. The witness asked her, "Do you understand that if I wasn't there, he would have forced himself on her? Is that the fantasy that put you off?" She was silent for a moment, and then said, "Nah, he's not like that." I asked her if she believed me. "Of course I do. I know it touched you and it was wrong, but he told me you kinda moaned, so he thought you were into it." Then he saw the witness and was embarrassed and left. I started yelling at her and told her that Mitch didn't believe me at all. But she Mitch believed me, but she also believed he misread the signs. So the witness asked her if she was going to cover up for him if we pressed charges. She said no, but he had told her he would never forget it if I did, whatever the outcome is. So now we know how he's going to manipulate the situation. Now for the last story. My 32 female soon-to-be ex-husband, 35 male, is dating my brother's 30 male ex-girlfriend, 23 female. I want to ask him to please not bring her around our daughter again. I know this is a pretty complicated situation, so I'll try to explain as clearly as possible. I'm 32 female. I was married to a man who is 35 male for 5 years, dating for 2 before that. Earlier this year, he asked for a divorce. It was completely out of the blue. He was incredibly cold and disconnected when he asked for it, which led me to believe he was planning this for a while. He moved out within the week. Our 4-year-old daughter and I stayed in the house. Recently, my daughter's daycare had a Halloween fundraiser. My husband and I both attended separately, as well as some of our families, including my brother, 30 male. When my brother was younger, he dated a young woman for a short amount of time. Our family was very against the relationship. She was much younger than him. No laws were broken, but she was very young. It didn't last very long, and he broke up with her to date his now wife, 30 female, who is a lovely woman, and a close friend of mine. Once my brother met her, his entire life turned around. They have a beautiful family, and they're all very happy. I was incredibly shocked when my husband showed up to my daughter's daycare with this girl, who is now 23, as his date. I think it was incredibly disrespectful of him to bring a new girlfriend to our daughter's daycare without any prior discussion. I think the entire relationship is inappropriate. Obviously, I'm not happy seeing him date anyone, but the fact that he's dating her is disgusting, especially since she has a prior history with the family. I don't have any contact with him aside from coordinating pickup and drop-off times, but I did pull him aside at the fundraiser and tell him I thought it was inappropriate. He didn't have much of an answer. He pretty much just brushed me off. I haven't spoken to him since, but he has visitation of our daughter this weekend. Is it inappropriate for me to ask him not to bring her around our daughter again? I really am not comfortable with it at all. To answer everyone's question, yes. My husband met her when she was dating my brother, which is when she was 16. Edits. I'm not asking if I have a legal right to ask him not to bring her around. I'm asking if it is an unreasonable thing to ask of him. I absolutely do not think she should never be around my daughter. I think that the relationship should become more serious before she's around her, so my daughter does not get attached to someone who is just going to disappear from her life. I would also appreciate if my soon-to-be ex would consult me before bringing new people into my daughter's life, since I would do the same to him. We have a custody arrangement. I have primary custody, as well as sole legal custody. He has visitation. Now for the top advice before the little update. My dad had girlfriend after girlfriend until I met my amazing stepmom. I knew she was amazing because he waited to introduce us until he was moving in. This led me to accepting her easily. Plus she gave me an awesome older brother to video game with. Oh, and another brother and 2 sisters. My mom ripped my father to shreds when I was around 5, however, because I became attached to one of his girlfriends and was upset about it. After that, he didn't introduce me to his girlfriends unless he had been seeing them for at least a few months or so, which only happened twice. My stepmom and his baby mama, minus the one who had kids, but that was slightly unrelated. I only knew he was seeing someone if my grandma happened to mention it. My dad was young, dumb, and a party animal. I'm grateful for all the fun we had growing up together on weekends. Video gaming, parties, and shindigs. But I appreciate my mom standing in for me about the girlfriend situation. This prevented a lot of potential heartache. If I wasn't broke, I'd give you an award for this, because this shows a child's perspective of what is happening to Opie. And she fully grasps this. Glad you chimed in. You can ask, but someone who will dangle the new girlfriend in front of their ex at daycare is likely to take zero notice. You don't do something like this, unless the aim is to signal to your ex, as normal people would discuss it first. As you didn't indicate your ex is very low intelligence, I expect it was intentional. Do you two share custody? No, we do not. You can include it in legal custody if you go for it. As a primary parent, you can dictate who is around your child when with the other parent. Why don't you talk to him and make an agreement that neither of you would introduce your daughter to a partner unless the relationship is serious? It has been so for a certain number of months. That sounds very reasonable for both of you. This is probably the route I'm going to go. How'd your brother's relationship end? I'd be worried about ulterior motives or revenge. With her, it ended badly. The relationship between him and her, and him and his current wife, did have a bit of an overlap. That makes your brother more of an a-hole than her. Not gonna lie, OP, I feel this is an incredibly one-sided story. I feel if the young new girlfriend was on here, she would have a very different story to yours. My brother was absolutely the a-hole here. I think his actions were mortifying, and I'm sure she would agree as well. Damn, no shortage of trash-tier men in your life. Tell me about it. Update. Thank you very much to the kind people reaching out to me. It has come to my attention that due to the fact that I have sole legal and physical custody of my daughter, I can in fact make it a stipulation that he doesn't bring intimate partners around her while she is in his care. According to my attorney, it's very common. Thank you all. I have spoken to both my attorney and my soon-to-be ex-husband about adding the stipulation into the visitation agreement. He was agreeable to it as long as it worked both ways, so for me as well, which I was of course agreeable to. Thank you to everyone for your advice and various viewpoints. First story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they only have one daughter and she is 6 feet in the ground? Original story. This all started when I was 12 years old and my younger sister was 10. Let's call her Abby. Well, Abby started to get sick and no one in the family knew what was going on. I started to be dropped off at my grandparents as they went to different doctors. I'm not going to go into her illness, but when the doctor figured it out, it was bad. So a lot of time was devoted to my sister. When I was 14, it got worse, and I started to be left at my grandparents for longer periods of time. It started with just staying the weekend, and then maybe the whole week. I would bring it up, and they told me that they have to focus on Abby. Soon, I was staying there for months, and by the time I was 16, I was basically living there full-time. I would maybe see them every other month. If I texted them the whole thing, the same response was always sent. We need to focus on Abby right now. I'm 19 now, and Abby has passed away from her illness. Her funeral was 2 weeks ago, and I attended through FaceTime. I got a call today from my parents, and they wanted to meet up and be a family again. I told them that they abandoned one child for another. I'm not their child anymore, that they only have one daughter and she is 6 feet under the ground now. I soon hung up. I've been getting texts calling me an a-hole and that I should understand that they needed to focus on Abby, and to suck it up basically. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Was it harsh? Yes. Was it deserved? Also, yes. While I can sympathize with dealing with a terminally ill child, they still had another child that needed their love and attention too. A child that was losing her little sister, probably scared and lonely, and then freaking abandoned for 7 years. Yes, Abby needed them, but you did too, and they failed you miserably. And they failed Abby too, who might have enjoyed a relationship with her sister in the few years she did have to live. This is what I keep coming back to. It's unconscionably cruel to keep two siblings from spending time with each other while one is dying. I cannot imagine dying and not being able to have my sister around. This honestly brings tears to me. Not a a-hole. As a parent who had a terminally ill child, I made sure that my other kids still knew that I loved them, and even organized people to sit with my child in the hospital while I spent quality time with my other kids. It's hard being a parent, knowing that your child is going to die, but you don't ever push away your other kids. I'm so sorry that you were abandoned by your parents. and I'm sending you huge hugs and love right now. You have every right to be angry at them, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise, as none of them were in your shoes. Take time to grieve for your sister and your lost relationship. And most importantly, please be kind to yourself. You do matter. Not the a-hole. While having a seriously ill child is challenging and will often take priority, it doesn't give your parents license to simply send their other child away and stop parenting them. They abandoned you, and now that your sister has passed away, they want to rug sweep their behavior and play happy family. It's completely understandable that you do not want to have a relationship with them. Therapy may be beneficial for you to process losing your entire immediate family. They need to respect your boundaries. Sorry for your loss, and good luck. They're treating her like a book they left on the nightstand. Now, 7 years later, they want to pick it up and go, "All right, where did I live off?" You can't do that with people. And now for the update. So, it's been around a month since I posted the original post. Thanks to everyone that gave their input. So after the post, I wrote a very long letter explaining my feelings about how my parents treated me and how they abandoned me for 7 years. I talked about all the major events that they missed and all the years that I could have been with my sister but couldn't due to their decision. That I haven't been part of the family ever since Abby got sick all those years ago. I talked about how my grandparents are more parents to me than they have been in these past years. That no matter the reason, they discarded me and acted as if their other kid didn't need their parents. That you may have lost Abby recently, but I lost my whole family a long time ago. And that I'm not going to give an empty apology for what I said on the phone. I sent this letter, and it was radio silent for a bit. And in the meantime, I went to my first on-campus college semester and started to use the free therapy. My parents contacted me and asked if I would like to get dinner and to hear them out. I agreed. It was a very long conversation that boiled down to I'm willing to try to get to know my parents again under 2 conditions, and if they don't agree with them, I'm going to walk away since they are basically strangers at this point. 1, that we start to go to family therapy. 2, that they don't try to parent me. That position is for my grandparents only, and I'm willing to try a relationship with them, but it won't be a parent-child relationship. They don't seem happy with these conditions, but accepted. We went to our first family session a few days ago, and our relationship is still rocky, but I think it is getting better. I may be able to forgive them someday, but that day is far in the future. Now for some top comments. I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you are doing what you believe is best for you. Despite everything, you sense to have grown into a great person. Good luck, love. Indeed, Opie has grown into a good and mature adult because of her own innate personality and her grandparents' care. A lot of people would have fallen under the weight of their parents' abandonment, the mortality of their sibling, and other issues that crops up for most teenagers, or have turned into a spiteful person. However, Opie is making peace with everything and settling strong and reasonable boundaries with her egg and sperm donors. So glad to hear it, Opie. Book recommendation: Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. It's not a replacement for therapy, but can help in a recovery of the loss of the parental relationship. Yes, I can recommend this book as well. My psychologist and I read it, and it helped me realize why my parents don't feel like parents, but more like brother/sister. I remember your original post, and it was so sad and broke my heart. It was also so mind-blowing. I don't know if it worked out entirely, but it's great to hear an update. A second one would be great too. I think it's good you're getting therapy personally just for your peace of mind. That's the most important. I do hope you can develop some sort of relationship beyond working with your parents. But the past does bear weight in the present and future, and it's unrealistic to just forget. Your feelings are valid, and it's good you're working through it for yourself. Hopefully everything works out and they don't endanger any more of your emotional stability. The fact you're trying says a lot of good about you, and your parents' response says a lot less to me. In my opinion, parents who really care and probably aren't r/raised by narcissists wouldn't have this reaction and would do everything to make amends for their mishandling of the past. While I understand they were in a bind, they still handled their situation wrong and poorly in my opinion. Good luck, stay safe. Hope college/university works out well for you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for liking my stepdad but not my stepmom? I'll probably sound like a witch, but that's life. My 16 female, parents 36 female and 40 male, divorced when I was 12. In all honesty, their marriage was so sucky that it took me 6 months and my mother having to explain it twice for me to realize they were separating. And even then, I didn't particularly care. Important information: both my parents cheated and got together with their affair partners. Dad cheated during their entire marriage with different women, but my mom cheated with my current stepdad for a year before they divorced. The situation by itself sucks, but there's no use finding someone to blame when the fault lays on both of them, so I'll just present the issue. I absolutely hate my stepmom, 37 female. She's unpleasant to me whenever I'm around. Bossy, always trying to goad me into arguments so that when I lose my temper, she can go and cry to my dad that I'm being mean to her. If I didn't know that woman absolutely hates children, I wouldn't be surprised if she tried to get my dad have a do-over baby. As if that would work. Dad got a vasectomy after I was born. However, I really like my stepdad, 34 male. He's genuinely nice to me, balances that careful balance between not really trying to parent me, but still being a reasonable authority figure, think like an uncle, and listens to me ramble about my hobbies without being judgmental. I also feel like the way they treat my parents actually matters in my perception of them. Stepmom treats dad like an ATM machine, but gets upset whenever he spends money on anything else. And stepdad treats my mom like she's the love of his life. And I don't know, I like seeing my mom so happy. My problem started on Father's Day. I made 2 posts on my Instagram where I honored both my dad and stepdad. Each of them had their own posts with different wordings to explain our relationships. Sometime later, I got a call from my dad making an issue out of it. Not because I made my stepdad a post, but because when it was Mother's Day, I only posted my mother and not stepmom, and she felt excluded and unloved. I explained my reasoning, but I'm still getting crap over it to this day. And both my dad and stepmom are low-key pressuring me to make a post about her this year. I'm sick and tired of this, y'all. And I just want to know if I'm the a-hole here because I'm starting to wonder if I'm in the wrong. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You were allowed your feelings. You wanted to say something nice about your stepdad. You don't have anything nice to say about your stepmom. So you didn't say anything at all. You can probably change the custody agreement if there is one, because at your age, what you say should work out. They really can't stop you. Not the a-hole. Stand your ground. Write a letter with numbered points as to the crap your stepmom has been doing to you when you are around. Then remind your dad that you are the child and she is an adult. And if she is upset that she didn't get a shout out on Mother's Day, then she needs to read your points for the explanation. Do not give in, because she'll continue crying to her dad whenever you post or do something for someone else because you didn't do anything for her. Here is your mantra. No one is entitled to receive anything from you, whether it's a gift or a shout out on social media. Nah, forget the letter. Put the crap she does in a Mother's Day post she's so desperate for. The picture should be a nice wilted bunch of yellow roses, yellow for friendship, because she's thoroughly killed any desire Opie might have to be her friend. She should finish with, if you want me to care for you like I do my stepfather and make public posts about how great you are, you need to try being a decent human being to me. Maybe even try being nice to me on occasion. So, happy Mother's Day. I hope you like your post. Not the a-hole. You should record her secretly being mean to you and then post that on Mother's Day. Then anytime afterward, if you ever have to deal with her and she starts acting up, just say, sweet, more material for my next Mother's Day post. Or just generally malicious compliance of, my stepmother told me I needed to post about her this year for Mother's Day. She said, add whatever mean things she's most recently said, if I didn't part anything. And then write a really amazing one about your mom. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for blowing up at my husband for how he reacted to the news of my brother's death? My brother passed away 2 weeks ago. He was in the hospital for weeks. He was very sick. During that time, I was very stressed out and worried a lot. I was busy with work, the house, my son, and my brother. My husband works from home and I work long hours. When I got home from the hospital, I argued with my husband about an issue. Instead of talking to me like an adult, he suddenly stopped talking to me and started texting me saying, that way we can have a civil talk. He'd do it all day knowing I'm stressed out and don't have time for this. Whenever I ask him to do something or ask him about our son, he'd stay silent and type his response in text then send it to me. He only talks to our son, and has taken over house chores, but he doesn't talk to me directly. I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel awful because at the time I really needed to talk to somebody and he was being unreasonable. I ignored him, thinking he'll quit doing it soon. 2 weeks ago, at 7 in the morning, I received a call from my mother telling me that my brother just passed away. It was an awful, devastating moment for me. I was in shock, but calm enough to give my husband the news. I told him my brother just passed away. He was still in bed at the time but was on his phone. His reaction was that he looked at me for a few seconds, then started typing on his phone. My phone was still in my hand when I received a text from him saying, "I'm sorry," and that's it. Didn't speak to me even after hearing the news. I didn't expect to do that. I lost it. I blew up at him and I started crying. I called his behavior unreasonable, and his reaction to this devastating news was awful. I was hurt. And he finally spoke up and said that he's the one who's hurt, and that I shouldn't have blown up at him because it wasn't his fault my brother died. He then left the room. A few minutes later, he started knocking on the door, apologizing and trying to say he didn't mean to make me feel bad. I got ready and I went to my mom's house. He called and texted, but I didn't respond. My mom asked about him and told me I shouldn't lash out at him because that will never solve the issue. After I told her. Not the a-hole. At a moment to prove that he was your partner, there to support you in one of the worst moments of your life, he chose his wants and how he felt. Text him your divorce lawyer's number. This is horrifying. I lost a sister a few years ago. I was in shock for an hour or so after. Somehow, it wasn't until I called my boss to tell him I would be out of work for a while that it slammed down on me. I was in a gas station parking lot, on my way to my mom's. A woman pumping gas came over to me, asked if I needed help, and when I said my sister was dead, she embraced me and cried with me for several minutes. A complete stranger in a dark parking lot offered me more love and support than Nobi's husband. The man is a complete monster. I'm genuinely horrified at how he treats you. Your brother died, and instead of hugging you and giving you comfort of any kind, he freaking texted you right in front of your face? This would end my marriage. To be this petty after hearing about my brother's death is just cruel. I'm so sorry for your loss, and for the fact your husband is more interested in winning an argument with you than consoling you. Not an a-hole. Stonewalling is one of the greatest predictors of divorce. 1. Criticism. 2. Contempt. 3. Defensiveness. 4. Stonewalling. Yeah, I'd say Opie's husband is ticking each of the 4 horsemen of divorce pretty neatly. Not an a-hole. You dealt with his bizarre, thoroughly immature behavior for 2 weeks, and when he carried on with it at one of your most vulnerable moments, you couldn't hold back. I get it. I get it all day. I'm really sorry for your loss. I hope things at home get better soon. You can't be dealing with all that nonsense at the moment. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.